Good afternoon and good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the SIG webinar series. I'm Stephanie McGarry. I'm the Vice President of Global Events here at SIG, and I'm thrilled to welcome you back. Before we get started, we have a few housekeeping items that we'd like to go over with you. First, I want to mention that SIG has launched its member loyalty program. And what that means for you is that if you're a SIG member, you'll receive points for attending webinars, teleconferences, presenting topics, hosting regionals and symposiums, responding to peer-to-peer inquiries, and on and on. Basically, we want to reward you for participating. So you log into the website and see how many points you've earned and check out our online gift catalog where you can redeem something of your choice or you can even donate it to a local charity. I encourage all of you to take a look at SIG's Career Network. There are many opportunities in sourcing and procurement that we post all the time. So the best jobs are posted by some of the best companies all over the world. Visit our career page and check out the job listings because we update this regularly. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, amongst many other social media outlets. SIG will do its best to bring news to you, so get connected and follow us. We post a lot of our peer-to-peers here as well. SIG hosts on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and as you can see, our next deep dive will be presented by MBO Partners. This is our website for a complete listing of upcoming webinars, and register today. These are one-hour sessions on current thought leadership, and don't worry if you miss one because you can always watch it in our pre-recorded webinar on-demand program. We host these and items for up to 3 years in our SRC. Teleconferences are held once a month on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. These are site-only open microphone events that bring a small group of executives together to discuss important topics. These are never ever recorded, and our next town hall is scheduled for August 12th and will be facilitated by IBM. SIG into our summits that I will talk about next. We have regionals and roundtables, roundtables and symposiums that are one-day-long events that bring colleagues together in your local area. Our symposiums are more like a mini summit, attracting anywhere from 65 to about 110 people. We have multiple executive buy-side presentations, current provider breakout sessions, panel discussions, live peer-to-peer networking, and we always conclude with a networking reception at the end of our symposium. Our regionals are abridged versions of our symposiums and typically run from about 9 a.m. to about 3:30 p.m. Similarly, we have buy-side presentations, panel discussions, roundtable breakout sessions, and lots of opportunities to network with peers in your neighborhood. Join any of these cities that you see listed. And as a reminder, these events are free to members and first-time non-member attendees. So I urge you to look at this calendar and please attend at any of these local areas. Executive summits are incredible 3-day events. We have approximately 50 breakout sessions, multiple keynotes, entertainment, and lots of networking. Are done from about 7:30 a.m. till about 10 p.m. So these 3 days leave you with a vast amount of people you will meet. You'll have new cards for your Rolodex, and I encourage you to, if you have the opportunity, to attend one of our summits. They're always non-commercial in nature. They're always 70% buy-side, 30% sell-side ratios, and typically attract upwards of about 400 people. Our summit content is already out there on sig.org. Our schedule at a glance is out there, so please, we encourage you to take a look and share it with your team members and attend. One thing I wanted to mention, a former CIO from the White House is going to be one of our keynotes, and I'm very excited about that personally. Next, we have our SIG University program. This is a new program that SIG is going to be launching, and it's going to be online curriculum offered to people at all levels in sourcing careers who are seeking additional training. Each certification level will consist of modules with interactive lessons, unit assessment, and a final proctored exam. Each certification is valid for 5 years, and if you're interested in providing any input, please let us know. SIG's Student Talent Outreach Program is another program I wanted to mention this morning. This program was designed to find tomorrow's supply chain professionals today while students are still honing their skills and learning about the industry. The program exposed students to sourcing and outsourcing executives, thought leadership, best practice on content, virtual education, online resource library, and career services, and it's a fantastic program. And for information about this program, please refer to any of us at any time. And I'm very excited to welcome Zachary. Zachary Bolt is a Director of Solutions Consulting at Zycus. Zach joined Zycus to help build and develop a scalable, global-minded pre-sales team that will contribute to the long-term growth and sustainability of Zycus. Prior to joining Zycus, Zach was a consultant with Coupa, where he acted as a subject matter expert for Procure software. Currently, he is a solutions consultant with Zycus, and today he will be talking about supply management solutions. So with that, I welcome Zach.
Pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much this afternoon or this morning, wherever you happen to be dialing in from, for joining us for this deep dive demonstration. My name is Zach Bolt. I'm the Director of Solutions Consulting for North America here at Zycus. So a little housekeeping thing or two here. I've got a few slides. We're going to spend about the next 45, 50 minutes or so. I've got just a few slides to tee this up, and then I'm going to spend the remainder of the time in a live demonstration environment of the Zycus solutions. So this is kind of what we're going to do is a bit unique from the other webinars that I've done for SIG. Typically, we do a deep dive webinar. We take a area like I think the last time a couple months ago it was sourcing, maybe contract management or spend analysis, and we do a little bit deeper dive in one of those individual products. Today, it's going to be a little bit different because I was tasked with doing a demonstration of the entire product suite that Zycus offers and covering it in about 50 minutes. So a little bit of a tough task here today, but I think I can do this. As we go along, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat bar in WebEx, and Stephanie will ask me those questions when we come to a logical breakoff point. And try to leave 5-7 minutes at the end of the presentation to give you a chance to ask any remaining questions that you might have. And then my contact information will be posted at the end of the webinar, and you'll be able to reach out to me directly, and I'll be able to answer any additional questions that you might have or take any requests for offline demonstration. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. So you can see here on your screen, the first PowerPoint slide talks about the Zycus Comprehensive Suite. And we've arranged these applications that we offer, all of which were built in-house by Zycus in a wheel, and they're kind of logical rotation going, starting from your 12 o'clock and then moving around in a circle clockwise. And the way we've arranged this and really the way our application suite was developed was really according to Gartner's best practices for capturing and taking advantage of new technology to manage your spend better, your sourcing processes, contract, etc. So we're going to start out and look at the Zycus spend analysis application. We have a patented artificial intelligence engine called iAutoClass that is behind, it's the man behind the curtain. It's all magic behind the class. So we're the best in the industry at the classification piece. And so I'm going to show you the front end. After your data is classified, cleansed, normalized, then it's pushed up into data cubes inside a product that we call iAnalyze/iMine, which is melded into one product now if you've ever seen our demos before. So that's spend analysis. I'm going to be showing you that. Out of spend analysis, there are logical integrations, touch points between strategic sourcing. We actually do offer not only a tactical sourcing application to run your RFPs and RFIs, et cetera, which is the one I'm going to be demoing for you today. Zycus also built a strategic sourcing project management application, which I demoed on the last webinar, and that is called iManage, and it helps you to manage enterprise sourcing projects or higher level sourcing programs. So I'm going to be treating the sourcing application. The next logical piece is, okay, we've done our analysis, we've done sourcing, now we've got to get into the correct management piece. How to author a contract, and once that contract is actually authored and executed and fully signed, we've got to make it actionable, we've got to store it so we can do our research and make sure that we're in compliance, that we're getting the value out of it. So we've got both a contract authoring as well as a contract repository bundled together into a single solution. So comprises, we call that the upstream suite, and that's really the core, the transactional core anyway. Underneath that, though, you've got the whole supplier management, relationship management aspect of procurement, and to some extent supply chain and risk and compliance and governance, et cetera. So we've got two applications that I'm going to be hitting quickly today that underlie the entire transactional upstream product suite, and that's called iSupplier, or our supplier information management, which is a master data management for suppliers, supplier portal, onboarding solution, workflows, the whole 9 yards. And then a slightly more strategic application that some of our customers are adopting to help manage their performance programs is called iPerform. It's a scorecarding, a KPI solution, and lets you track your supplier's performance both at point in time as well as trending analysis over a given time horizon. So, challenging thing for me today, and this is kind of, I love doing procure-to-pay demos. It's kind of my specialty, by far my favorite. I'm going to be demoing our P2P solution for you today as well. And you know I've got 50 minutes here and trying to do all this and then procure-to-pay on top of it, we're going to see, I think I can do it. So procure-to-pay application is actually the newest one that we've brought to the market. And it came out about 2 years ago, and what we did, we actually spent about 3 years in research and development, building. We didn't just come out with a very dumbed down or low-grade 1.0 version and try to build on it. We tried to build a market competitive application first shot out of the box. And I come from Coupa, having seen other applications and worked with them pretty extensively, I could say we did a doggone good job. So demonstrating for you the Zycus Procure-to-Pay, and I'm going to focus particularly on a few of the differentiators between our solution and some of the others that you may have evaluated in the market. And finally, we've got the financial savings management application, which Zycus calls iSave, and it is a savings tracker, but instead of being a spreadsheet on steroids, it basically provides you a forum where procurement and finance, or in supply chain if they're involved as well, everyone can come together and can collaborate on a single platform and sign off an agreement over a phase-wise project-based timeline. And then ultimately what you want to happen is procurement gets credit for the savings that they actually accrue when finance closes the books, whether that's on the cash flow, on the balance sheets, etc. And without further ado, I have to switch over screen with you, and we're going to be in a live demonstration environment here. So now you've seen it all in PowerPoint slides. So Zycus applications are deployed in the cloud. We don't have an on-premise model, and everything that I just showed you on the PowerPoint slides is now here inside a demonstration environment. And I'm going to start out here, and we're going to work our way from left to right over about the next 40 minutes or so. I'm going to start out with spend analysis. And in the interest of time, we can't go into the process and the technology that man behind the curtain that I mentioned just a few moments ago. There's just not time to do it because there's a lot here and a pretty massive differentiator for Zycus with respect to manage the classification process. We do have a patented technology and a process called AutoClass. So I've got time only to show a couple of quick things here inside the application. You're going to see that the UI is going to be consistent as I walk throughout each and every product. Zycus built everything that we offer in-house so that all of our applications have a similar look and feel as you move from one to the other. So within iAnalyze, we have a number of different reporting paradigms, and each and every one of them have their own use and purpose. Let's start here under what we call the Spend Miner. And the Spend Miner is an automated data mining solution that takes out-of-the-box strategies and provides them to your end users and says, here's an area in categories, in suppliers, in compliance, where you can go save money by strategies such as payment term rationalization, by rationalizing the long tail of spend. So we give you out-of-the-box strategies, and then we give you the capability to go in and tweak and modify, do advanced filtering and analysis, and really make these strategies your own. So if you're a category manager or you want to break this out for your category manager so that they're responsible for their own pieces of the overall indirect or direct spend pie, then you're absolutely able to do this. Under category, I've got 4 base strategies out of the box. Supplier rationalization. Hey, let's cut off the long tail and consolidate our spend. Pay rationalization. And I really like this one because so many companies have such a big problem with this. I'm going to drill into this one because it's all we're going to have time to do here. But what this is doing is saying, Zycus, you run my data and show me by category everywhere I have, and I'm paying multiple different payment terms to the same supplier. So you can export this report out to Excel, hand this to your category managers or your sourcing professionals, and have them start picking up the phone and calling the vendors. Massive ROI on this year 1. And here's an example. So for United Healthcare in this data set, I had payment terms of 60, 45, and 30 days respectively. So what this is doing under the business strengths and the what-if analysis, it's a simple cost of capital formula in this particular instance, and it's saying, all right, if my cost of capital is 4%, what do I get if I hang on to that money for an extra 30, 15, 45 days? And so Zycus is actually doing the calculation for you right here. And so if you moved all these payment terms from 30, net 45 to your most favorable 60, you're going to be able to save $6,000 simply by picking up the phone. You're able to do a lot of filtering here and have Zycus spotlight areas where you've got the greatest amount of savings, and you can start there and just work your way down through the savings potential. And this is massive ROI, particularly, like I said, in year 1 when you're starting out with spend analysis or you're switching over potentially from a vendor. So tons more to show there, but I'm going to have to press on. I also want to show you analyze. We have what we call power analysis, and that's the analyze menu. Several other different reporting paradigms and metaphors here where you can do everything from drag and drop pivot tables here under manage reports to graphical browsing by category, by strategy, etc. So within the manage reports, I will see my top 5 categories by contract, on and off contract spend. I have a report built for that. I simply grab the dimensions and the measures over from the left-hand side of the screen, drag and drop those into the middle of the screen, grab it and pull that new category, that business, that new metric over into the middle of the screen. Save the report. I've got a whole host of social options here. I can save the report, obviously, but then share it with other users in my organization, add to dashboards which are shared across the organization or my personal, or even schedule these that every time your data is refreshed on a monthly basis, this report drops into your inbox as well as your boss's on the first Monday after your new data refresh, etc. A couple of out here, the guided browsing. You can see here, this is a browsing type of metaphor, and you're able to analyze your spend through all these different procurement-centric lenses that you see over here on the left-hand side of your screen. So I want to browse my spend by business unit, by general ledger account, by parent supplier in a parent-child type of analysis. I want to do only my addressable or sourceable spend. The menu here for discover opportunities. You're all get different hats. Discover opportunities doing things like ABC analysis, purchase price variance. Where across my organization you have the same part, same material code that paying multiple different prices for. We see that all the time when we analyze our customer spend data, and often when we do these presentations, their jaws drop. They're like, I had no idea that we had a $50 variance in that part price across 2 different business units. So sometimes there's a lot of value in being able to do this type of analysis as well, depending on how your business is structured. And so we give you out-of-the-box strategies to do this, and then you're able to do advanced filtering analysis and set your own with all this. Obviously, it can be pulled out to Excel, and you can do deep analysis on it. Basically, any way you want to analyze the data, whether it's graphical browsing, you get down to the nitty-gritty Excel rows and columns, use pivot tables, it's all here what you do with it. Ultimately, what you want to do with spend analysis is directionally point your sourcing strategy into a more effective and more efficient direction. And so that's exactly what this is designed to do. You're able, within the spend minor within the analyze options I was just showing you, do things what we call opportunities. So if your category managers or sourcing professionals are working in the spend analysis tool, you're able to create an individual pipeline, opportunities that you identify in your categories that you're responsible for, and then it rolls up into an enterprise organizational pipeline. You have the opportunity to prioritize these different opportunities and then ultimately push them directly over into a sourcing event. So without showing you how they're built, it takes just a minute or two to build one. As you're analyzing the data, you're going to build these opportunities here. And an opportunity is relatively simple in that whether by cost savings or compliance or whatever lens you're looking at, you hear a few details about the opportunity, including things like opportunity priority, and then cost savings and potential or relative cost benefit analysis. How much is it going to cost us to pursue this strategy in man hours, time, and energy? And then how much is it actually going to net us back if we execute against this strategy? That's the charts. Everything can be attached from within the application right here. And then if you're building your own business case for an individual category or maybe a subcategory, all that documentation can be attached and put right here, and it drops over into the opportunity pipeline for your management to be able to review by category manager, by sourcing specialist, who's doing like you here, and you get directionally an understanding of the overall value relative to the stage that particular opportunity is in. And then ultimately, you have a bubble chart here that shows you where opportunities lie on one axis and then the overall savings on another. And it's going to give your management a graphical view as well as down below an actionable panel where they can say what to be done with these individual strategies. Do we want to move it forward in the sourcing process, or do we want to drop this from consideration for the next 6-12 months that we're going to be executing against our strategy or for executing against our sourcing opportunities and strategies? So my opportunities, when the opportunities are identified and signed off on by management, there is a link here that you're able to link these up to sourcing events within the sourcing application and put the detail over, or link it to more enterprise level projects, new or link existing. All right. So I'm going to transition to sourcing now, and as I do, Stephanie, do I have any questions in the panel, or should I just keep going?
Why don't you keep going? I think everybody is captivated right now.
Perfect. Okay, so there are several different entry points into the sourcing application. One, as I just discussed, comes from the analysis application. But you're not limited to starting from spend and pushing to sourcing. That is one integration. Another, Procure-to-pay. You actually request a quote and initiate a quote process directly from within a Procure-to-pay transaction cycle. That's two. With each application, the strategic project management, those events can be linked, or the projects themselves can be linked to a sourcing event within the sourcing application here. That's three. And then you can just start directly from scratch and create your own new event for any category based on a template that you want. That's four. All right. Describe sourcing process within Zycus. This is pretty simple, and I've done workshops where I give people an hour or two of training, and they are on their way running their own sourcing events just in a matter of a couple of hours. It's pretty doggone simple to use this thing. The process is as follows. You start out with a draft. When you click on Create New Events here, you're going to be able to select. You want to start completely from scratch. You use a sourcing or category-based template, or you copy over from an existing event. So based on what you select here, they're going to be filtered out. The options that you have below for selecting a previous event or a template are obviously going to be filtered. They should support RFI, RFP, refer quote, RFQ, and English forward and reverse English and Dutch auctions as well. So once you start up a new event, it's in the draft stage. And that draft means that you are getting it in the condition that you want for that bid patch to go out the door. Attaching any extra documents, adding sections, building your price table, what have you. Get the draft in the condition that you want it. You click the draft and move it to collect. That's where you engage and invite your suppliers. It's an interface to allow you to communicate with your suppliers, all captured online in an auditable process. The suppliers have a portal that they can log into and to respond, and you collect those responses back from the suppliers. Ultimately, in about 2 weeks, you run the event, close it out, and you've got the option here. You go into a shortlist negotiation, or you can move directly into analysis, which is going to allow you to do score sheets on the events and do more advanced what-if analysis modeling in the engine that we have. Close that out. Then you've got the award phase where you do even more advanced bid optimization and then select the supplier or suppliers that you want to award to and push that award notification to the suppliers along with any regret letters that you want to send to those who didn't win. So I'm going to show you a category here for computer equipment and accessories, and I'm going to show you what a draft looks like quickly, and I'm going to move you through the process pretty rapidly here in about the next 5 minutes. Within the draft itself, it's almost built like an Excel spreadsheet. So you've got the tabs that would be like an Excel here inside the draft itself, and you're able to use the question types panel over on the left-hand side of your screen, and you just drag and drop any new or additional questions here, yes or no question, type question here, a completely new question. So use very simple to make some small tweaks and modifications. If you want to do larger changes en masse, then you can import and export via Excel as well if you wish to append more large sections. All right, the pricing section. A couple more to describe here. This is highly flexible, and we have 2 different models that you can use. Number one, you can kind of build a little bit more rigid structure inside the application here, and then you can build items out in Excel. If you have a template that's got all kinds of color coding and macros and formulas in it, then we have what we call a flexi-based table that you're able to take that Excel sheet, start there, and upload it into the application and map all of your formulas, your color coding, everything. So if you're doing bills of material and things like that, that's a really cool way to handle it. We actually built that functionality at a customer request, and it's in a manufacturing and industry is where it's particularly relevant, using sourcing bills of material and things like that with different lead times, et cetera. So a lot of flexibility, ton of power here. When you get this draft built out, then you use it and do what we call freezing that RFQ. When you use it, it moves forward into the collect stage. So collect stage is actually has a supplier database under it that your suppliers are seeded into that database. You can use suppliers, and you select those by individual supplier, by category, push that out the door. Just a note, Zycus support multi-currency bidding along with currency conversions, and then in collect stage you actually schedule an event, usually for a week or 2 on a schedule, set your currency bidding rules, put it out the door. In time, I'm going to go into that. I need to push on. The negate feature, I'm going to skip over that as well. I did do a deeper dive on it in a previous webinar. If you have questions on how the collect or negate features work, please email me a question. I'd be glad to answer those. But there's something that I think I can push on by. And let's talk a little bit more about the analyze here. So after you've collected the responses back from your suppliers, this is critical because you've got to be able to do good analysis. And this is where some of the processes, even if you could do a good job, even just in Excel, collecting the responses back, the analysis without an application like this is kind of where the wheels fall off. So in different ways you can conduct your analysis here. Number one, you can export the responses out to Excel, and the way we put them up together and put responses side by side is a really super way for you to be able to compare apples to apples on the responses. Things from to see it by row, by column, in pivot table format, etc. And then also being able to download all the individual attachments that came with the bid packages as well. Very critical. So do side-by-side comparisons here. Select your suppliers, response, and the entire commercial response is going to be there in a side-by-side view. On into the scoring piece, because this is one that most of our customers really want to spend a lot of time on, and I wanted to save a couple of minutes for this. Then build multiple score sheets for your event. And particularly the application builds the score sheet for you, and then you tweak it a little bit and make it your own. So select one of these here that's still in a draft stage. It's a wizard that walks you through the score sheet build out. So basically at a section or at a question level, you're able to weight individual sections, individual questions, move them from consideration. I auto scoring rules to certain questions, set supplier advantages and disadvantages if that's something that is of interest to you. Here's a diverse supplier or my incumbent, I bump them up 8 or 10%. Invite your scores, fill and publish this. It's just like SurveyMonkey. So you get invited to view the response. When you do, they get a blast out with a smart link in it, and when they respond, they're able to complete score the entire bid package, and then you get a nice report comes back where you can see all slicing and dicing you want. You get all the questions with the weighted scores, the salute scores, any comments that were made by the scoring populace. You go down here and select and unselect so you're able to see who scored what and how they actually conducted their scoring. Did everybody do it fairly? And you export this report out to Excel so that you can do an offline analysis. I think this is really the power behind the whole scoring mechanism here, is the ability for you to, it's taking quantitative type of analysis in many cases. It's users, your scoring thinks, but then quantifying it into real scores that you're then able to stack rank and do something with. And that's exactly what the application is doing for you. It's ranking your suppliers, weighted and absolute score. Ultimately, you can do as many sheets as you want to measure different metrics, and you can drop it in here in our what-if analysis engine and do advanced what-if analysis. Finally, onto the bid optimization portion when you're going to do an award. You've got, again, kind of like the spend miner, you've got pre-built strategies that come out of the box. Strategies our customers tell us they use 90+% of the time, and you can tweak these, make them your own. See scenarios, all drop here under a queue called My Optimized Scenarios. These are modified online, they can be modified offline, as you see here, as also over the Actions button, and then ultimately you're able to award. And I've got a little gold trophy here beside my award. And once you do an award, you get a full itemized award summary, which is really nice. You can actually export that out to Excel or pull it to attach to your this case, etc. And then you can create a contract here directly from within the sourcing application and initiate that contracting process. All right, with sourcing here, I press on to contract management. Again, I'll ask any questions here, or just keep going.
Zach, I did want to ask, how is the spend analysis application integrated to the rest of the sourcing suite? Or will you be at the end?
So, and it is. It's linked to the strategic project management application. It's also linked to the sourcing application directly. And so you've got projects sit at a high level, and if you're following like a 7-step AT sourcing process, then you do spend analysis, sourcing, and contract management all under the individual umbrella of the project itself, and it's directly linked to being able to feed sourcing events directly over from inside the spend analysis engine. And then of course, it's all tied together here under what we call this Google-style search for your suppliers called OneView and OneView. supply here and a full supplier report card. Okay. Contract management. I'm going to hit a couple of things here at a high level and show you a couple of details. Points into contract management is directly from sourcing. Clearly, you can come in here and create a contract, whether it's an existing agreement and you just want to capture it here, maybe uploaded in mass, which is more typical if you're doing an implementation or if you are on a new business unit or something like that, or you do an acquisition and you want to roll those contracts into the repository. And then, of course, you can also offer a contract directly in here as well. To support the contract authoring piece, the application has both a clause library and template library. And Stephanie, you want to pause off and ask me a couple of questions here?
As I asked that question, a few other questions came in. From Pat Harrison, his question is, to build on the question that I just asked, do individual modules from the Zycus solution play well with other applications? Example, Ariba, SAP, etc.
Yeah, and to be quite honest with you, in some places they play better than they do others. And we have APIs for integration. Since our own products are integrated, the program interfaces are already there. So we can integrate in, and then it kind of comes down to a cost-benefit analysis of does it make sense. What we use commonly is you want two or three scenarios usually. A customer selects Zycus for everything, up and down, full procure-to-pay and everything. If you have a P2P need, and you're going to go, or you wish to break that evaluation up, someone would go maybe on Ariba with the P2P and then Zycus for upstream. That's very common. Separate vendors for that is very doable, works well. And then occasionally we see single product evaluations, like just sourcing or just contracts, but those are pretty scarce these days. We don't do many of those. Most of them are multi-product, two to four products at least, generally. But you do integrate, and be glad if you have specific questions, just email me, and I'll be glad to take that with you offline.
And let me just quickly ask these other questions. Can we draw down against a contract from within P2P, and can I push the results of a sourcing event to a contract?
And yes, you absolutely can. So, as I just mentioned on the previous application sourcing, we actually have a create contract button right there. So you push that directly over into a contract and start that authoring process here. And once the contract's sitting in the repository, you can absolutely draw down against it using the Procure-to-pay application.
Great. One more quick question, and then we'll keep going. How does the sourcing interface with the suppliers?
For me.
Sure. How does the iSourcing interface with the suppliers?
Yeah, without asking for a clarification, I'll take my best step at it, and if I don't answer the question, just whoever asked it, please just type clarification. The iSource application has a full supplier-facing portal as well. Suppliers interface or interact with that portal to conduct their responses and then send them back. Really simple to use, about the simplest thing, honestly, on the supply side. And I think that probably answers the question. If it's around how the suppliers get into the sourcing application and database, just let me know, and I'll be glad to clarify. So, did you have it, Stephanie?
I was saying thank you so much. I think that answered the questions perfectly.
Perfect. So it's 2:40 now. I've got about 15 minutes and a long way to go, so I'm going to try to accelerate just a little bit here. I'll describe this quickly. We've got a clause library and a template library, which form some of the principal parts for you to be able to use your own paper when you're authoring a contract. Contract authoring is a very simple three-step process, but don't let the simplicity of the way this is laid out fool you, because you can basically build as much complexity or as little into this three-stage process as you wish. You take a third piece of paper, or own contract template, and you author a contract and get it into the condition that you want it to be before you send it out the door. Approval workflow, attend the stage. Negotiate. Once you've closed out the author or the drafting stage, you get into the negotiate stage, where you invite your supplier and you begin that redlining, that back and forth negotiation with the supplier. Once with the negotiate, you have another workflow for anything that needs to be reviewed and approved will be signed off on, to the sign-off phase. Ultimately, the sign-off to put the pen and paper or use our DocuSign integration and sign off on that executed agreement. The action keeps a full audit trail of everything that is done, the entire process. I'm going to drill into the sign-off and show you a contract the same as it does over in sourcing with the tabular navigation. At each individual phase, you've got a phase-wise approval through that it goes through. Here's my negotiate, here's sign-off, and notice I didn't have a workflow on the original author page. The contract actually looks like here. Here's the fields. This is all the metadata, and it is linked. The metadata is linked to the documents themselves within the contract, so that or the Word doc that you're using. So when you make a change in one, it's updated in the other. Base contract type, subtype, category. The fields that you see here can usually do change. The implementation of the contract management application is deciding what metadata elements need to be captured for every individual category. Okay, inside, you can see a ton of tabs which are available. Everything from storing line items, so if you want to draw down against that contract in P2P, price discount, etc. Here, line items, docs, everything. Scope of work, your NDA, everything can go here in the documents. Milestones, alerts, notifications of different sorts, all are tracked, and then they are tweeted to you on your iPad app, as well as sent to your email inbox and dropped out on a alert line or tweet deck dashboard. This is right here in the application. Massively powerful search mechanism as well. The search engine for your contracts, no matter how you want to search for them, absolutely second to none. With the supplier information and performance management very quickly here. All right. Two things I want to point out here. This is the secret sauce underneath the entire transactional application suite, whether it's Procure-to-pay or contract management. The Enterprise application allows you to onboard suppliers, put them through your due diligence and governance workflows, trim over time. The life cycle of relationship with the supplier can all be tracked in here, and it all starts right on the supplier's profile. So one thing I want to point out is that the supplier profile is configurable. Based on what we do, when we deploy this application and we train you how to use it, your supplier profile will look different from the next customers, because you want to collect different details. So here I'm going to show you what a supplier profile could look like. It's looked like for some of our customers. Now, a couple other details to point out here. You're to manage suppliers' relationship across a global organization with different regions, business units, locales, etc. And everything you do with the supplier is captured in a fully reportable audit and audit log, so that you're able to satisfy any audit requirements that you may have. Here is what a supplier profile does look like. Company tab here, pretty big stuff. My company details, my tax information, upload your W-8, W-9 form for tax ID and validate this, that it's valid. Tab, all of your locations and all of the contacts within a single place, and then managing the invitees to the portal, people who are able to to log into the portal, and suppliers manage this data themselves. And if I scroll on over here to the right-hand side, you've got all kinds of information such as, there we go, diversity certificates, tracking of insurance certificates, tracking financials, KIs and SLAs. Here's certificates here. And these are 100% configurable. So if you say, you know what, I don't want mine to look like that, move the fields around. It's really simple to do under the admin console. It was designed to show you kind of the art of the possible within a supplier record. And then virtually any piece of data here can be used to flag that supplier, report on it, and drive some sort of workflow. Under the Collaborate menu here, one of the powerful things about this application is you're A, empowering suppliers to provide you this data so you don't have to collect and track it yourself, supply service, and then B, you've got an enterprise alert and notification engine that sits and runs in the background so that every time a supplier's documentation is about to expire, you don't have to track it in a spreadsheet and try to chase them down via email. You have an application that's doing that for you. Here's a couple: Current certificate, tax certificate, Zycus, and a full report on it. So suppliers are able to alerts and notifications inside the app, inside their portal, as well as on their smart device, and so you have a full report, graphical by the numbers, and a supplier report on supplier actions on their critical notification. This is an example. Anytime an insurance certificate is going to expire within the next 60 days, alert notification goes out, and the buyer is notified that they need to take action on that and upload that new document. It kicks off a workflow for you to review it, make sure they actually did upload documentation. I never promise, but I'm going to have to press on. Professional. Once you baseline of collecting supplier master data, usually customers then will move toward a more strategic supplier starting and performance measurement. I see Stephanie saying we've got some more questions, so I'm going to pause right here and take questions.
Thank you. 2 quick questions. Will this work on iOS devices?
The best bet for managing the application itself, like if you want to log in, is on like an iPad. You can log in. It's optimized for iPad browsers and stuff like that. Number 2, you can download our Zycus app from iOS Store, which allows you to receive these alerts and notifications that come out of here, out of the application on iDevice, as well as anything like sourcing event, contract, procure reason approvals. You'll be able to do those directly within your iPod, your iPhone or iPad app. And then we're in process of developing a supplier-side app as well. So your suppliers will be able to download an app, receive alerts inside their own app, and do things like flip a PO to an invoice direct from their smartphone or their iPad as well. And for that's great. And I'm not aware of anyone else in the industry doing that, at least not to my knowledge.
Wow, that's pretty cool. My next question for you is, do you have e-signature capabilities in sign-off stage?
Oh, we do. We have an out-of-box DocuSign integration, and we just underwent some pretty nice enhancements to the DocuSign integration as well that are going to enable our customers going forward to leverage any DocuSign workflows and routings that they have directly from within our iContract application.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Any more questions? So I've got time now to describe this. Time library, scorecard library. These can be qualitative and quantitative metrics that you establish based on questions, based on metrics and measurements, from quality and efficiency down to commitments to sustainability, to calculations like what are the on-time delivery and defect parts per million. can imagine it, pretty much you can build it in a KPI. And once those KPIs are built, they're collected into scorecards and what we call performance events within Zycus. The library and your scores, whether they are internal scores, whether they coming from your ERP, or our supplier scores, contacts on your suppliers who are scoring themselves. That data is collected and collated back both by event and supplier so that you're able to track supplier performance at a given point in time. Let's do a trending analysis over time, and I'm going to show you a performance report by supplier. Your graphical report cards, such as the one you see here, which will show you cumulatively by supplier how your suppliers are scoring for the KPIs that you're measuring them on, by KPI how they're scoring. Scroll down, visual supplier performance report how they're scoring, and then scrolling on down even to a graphical visualization that will literally model your organization's business unit, region, mental structure, like you see here. Here I've got one facility I'm scoring for the entire U.S. that can be by business unit, department, environment, etc. So you're going to see who's performing well, performing poorly. And then for performing suppliers that are strategic, you can develop templates and put them on performance improvement programs, some of which you see here. And this is like a Microsoft project interface. So you're able to walk them through a formal program for process improvement. You measure them against the benchmarks that you set, and a whole task and milestone tracker, which as you see here on your screen, and you track each one of your suppliers and their performance programs through to completion. And there's a full supplier-facing component of this as well that your suppliers are able to leverage and access. Okay, now, Stephanie, any more questions while I do?
I think that the question that was asked was just answered, but let me ask it again just in case. Can a survey be sent to internal and supplier, and can the scores from the supplier self-review be compared with the internal scores?
So the answer to both questions is yes, you can. What a lot of our customers do is they'll invite suppliers. You can assign weightages to score responses. So they'll give the suppliers even no weight to some of the response, but they want their opinion, and then they can compare them side by side to see how the suppliers think they're doing relative to how their internal stakeholders think they're doing. So the answer is yes.
Great. Okay. How would the vendor data interface with our ERP system, i.e. payables?
Good question. So if you have enterprise SIM or supplier management, that becomes the front end for you so that you've got a place where you can collect the data and manage supplier master data. If you don't, you get a lightweight version of that, and within Procure-to-pay, particularly on the payable side, typically we integrate a number of business objects with your ERP, GL structure, cost centers, as well as the transactional data such as your POs and your payables. All of that is kept in sync via one- and two-way integrations. And so we do a whole architecture section on those. I leave any of them. Any questions you have offline, you can ask me those.
One more question, but I'll ask it at the end, because I know you're trying to get through. So,
everybody get ready for a 2-minute Procure-to-pay demo. All right, a couple that are different here. I love as a power user, the online store within Zycus is actually powered by our artificial intelligence engine, so that when you're searching, you're doing keyword searching, you're actually doing category search. It's looking for a BlackBerry phone. That could be a mobile phone or maybe a BlackBerry juice, and the application actually knows the difference. Solve a lot of the problems that are systemic with keyword searching inside of pay applications. Have a very powerful forms-based approach to the procurement process. We've provided you with a couple hundred forms out of the box that you're able to tweak. These are category forms, form shopping, stuff that you can put in a catalog. Ultimately, mash everything up into a single cart, such as that you see here. And position I already had prepped out. Copy one over here. Yeah. Drop a cart, doing all of the lifting for you, the cost booking, general ledger, and doing a workflow routing at the line item level. That's a differentiator. Creates flow. And there you go. So this workflow actually built at a category and line item level instead of mashing everything up into an individual cart. Position, put approval process. Again, you can do this on mobile. Ultimately, and I'm just going to have to describe the rest of the process. When a position reaches final approval, it's shipped to a PO, transit to the supplier via the Zycus supplier network. We've got different connectivities, XML, EDI, portal, and then only on the back side, when you receive invoices back, we have a full e-invoicing application as well. It provides a payables interface to process your transactions, and we have a massive development focus on our e-invoicing application, and we're doing some pretty groundbreaking stuff. Things like supplier-facing invoicing apps, OR scanning in the cloud, automating that process, side-by-side invoice viewing on the supply side to compare PDF files to the actual to the invoice, emitting it, as well as things like clearly consolidated invoice management, Excel uploaders, and all kinds of stuff like that. That's more basic stuff, but we're doing some pretty groundbreaking stuff as well, like with automated cloud scanning and supplier apps and supplier actionable emails as well, so that suppliers actually be able to invoice you directly from within an email. So I ran a little short on time. My apologies. I will stop here and ask Stephanie if there are any additional questions.
Yes. So folks, if you do have any further questions, please go ahead and keep IMing them to me or to Sneh, and we will get these asked for Zach. One question we have is, how many customers do you have in Europe, and can the software be configured for recoverable and non-recoverable VAT?
So with the recoverable and non-recoverable VAT, you're talking about Procure-to-pay. So to your first question, we have a number of customers in Europe across our application suite. Zycus is a global organization. I don't personally work with Europe too much because we have other sales teams that work on focus primarily in North America. But if you get with me offline, I can get you a little bit more data on that. And then I'd like to dig down a little bit more and understand your recoverable, non-recoverable VAT taxing and some of the requirements that you have around that. And again, I'm just not as familiar with the European rollouts that we've done. So get back with me, send me an email note, and I'll do a little bit of research on it, and I'll get you some answers.
Thank you. Another question, what are some options Zycus has for electronic invoicing?
Perfect. So as you would expect, we do support XML, we support EDI. We also provide a full supplier portal for your suppliers to be able to use, smaller mid-tier suppliers. But then this summer, we're going to bring out our supplier app. Suppliers can enter directly from an app. DR scanning, automated OCR in the cloud. We call it a cloud scan. It's currently under development as well. I've already got the prototypes that will be coming out a little bit later this summer, September, I think, early fall. And then I've actually got something like a dozen of them listed out. Those are some of the more major ones. Oh, the supplier actionable emails for the invoicing. So you take a PO email from a supply side and then click invoice and invoice directly on that email. It's going to be available a little bit later this year. So we have several out of the box now, and we're developing about 4 or 5 more electronic invoicing options for suppliers. And we're also, of course, you want to do outsourced scanning and entry. Zycus does offer that as a service as well, and then we have partners to do it also.
Great, thank you. Well, Zach, thank you so much. This has just been such a valuable hour. Obviously, there were many questions, so people will probably be reaching out to you further. Again, folks, if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to anybody here at SIG or to Zach himself. His information, if we could put that up on the screen, that would be great. There we go. And please feel free to reach out to any of us, and we will get those questions answered for you. It's the top of the hour. I just want to quickly mention that our next webinar is another solution deep dive, just like today's, and that will be taking place on August 11th, and it will be brought to you by MBO Partners. So I encourage you to please sign up and join us again. Thanks so much, Zach and everybody, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Bye-bye.